like these that will give us a competitive advantage. Giving more workers the guarantee of health and dental benefits would give them the certainty and freedom they need to take risks and advance their careers. But today's announcement is especially good news for women, low-wage earners, newcomers, and young people who are less likely to have workplace benefits. Joining me today to share her story is Marlena. She's a server here in Toronto, and for months she didn't have benefits while working. Her experience shows us how important health and dental benefits are to workers and their families. The steps we're taking today will help protect our workers, build stronger families, and make Ontario a place where the future works for you. And now I'd like to welcome Marlena to share her story and just the importance of expanding coverage to millions of more workers in Ontario. Marlena, over to you. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Marlena Perrone. I work at George on Queen in Toronto, here in our city. I've been working in hospitality for over 10 years with a variety of full-time and part-time employment. Here at George on Queen, you know, it not only takes the 6-month probation period, but an additional 3-month activation period for benefits to take place. And, you know, that can be a long time for people with daily medical health care, you know, who require prescriptions, and having these health care benefits is not just a reactionary period for when we are sick or when our family members are not well, if we have injuries that happen on the job, but also preventative care to keep us healthy and working for the public, and you know, to keep us healthy every day. So it's entirely important for everybody to have access to these benefits and be able to stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlena, for sharing that story and just the importance of ensuring that workers have benefits here in Ontario. So thank you for that very personal story. So with that, we are happy to take questions.
Good morning, Minister. I wanted to ask you about something that could be potentially happening outside Queen's Park this weekend. There is the potential of some kind of a truck convoy coming to Queen's Park. The Mayor of Toronto has warned them not to block the access around hospitals just south of Queen's Park. If this protest does materialize, what is your message to those who might be coming here?
Well, certainly we love our truckers. They've kept our supply chains going. It's one of the reasons why we were the first in Canada to bring forward legislation to ensure that truck drivers and food delivery workers had access to washrooms. I know they have, some of them have concerns with the federal government's mandate, but my message to those truckers that may be coming to Toronto, please be respectful. Be peaceful, respect the hospital system and those patients that need to access health care, and also be mindful of those small businesses that are now just getting their doors open to grow their businesses. So be peaceful, be respectful, and follow the rules.
We've been seeing what's been happening in Ottawa. They've been entrenched in that city for a number of days. They've been looking to meet with members of the federal government. Likely, if they come down here, the demands would be the same, to drop you know, the proof of vaccination requirements, as an example, in all Ontario businesses, to drop the masking requirements, and to meet probably with members of the Ford government. Will members of your government or your cabinet meet with any convoy protesters who might come to Queen's Park?
Well, look, we're taking a very cautious and measured approach. We want to beat COVID-19 once and for all. Look, I know there's concerns out there. We heard loudly in Ottawa over the past number of days the issues they have with the federal government and their mandate. But again, my message is be peaceful, be respectful, ensure that people can live life normally and get to the hospital, and support the small businesses that are open here in Toronto. So that's my message to them.
But just finally on this, if they ask for a meeting with the Premier or with members of your government, should the Premier meet with any protesters from any truck convoy that come to Queen's Park?
Well, look, I'm not going to speak on behalf of my colleagues, but I can tell you we've had the backs of truckers throughout this entire pandemic. That's why Premier Ford and our government brought forward the Working for Workers Act last fall to ensure they have access to washrooms. I remember in March of 2020 when the pandemic just hit Ontario, truck drivers were going to factories, to warehouses, and there were signs posted saying, washrooms are for employees only. If anyone who's not an employee has to use the washroom, go into the woods. I mean, that's the disrespect that we've seen through this pandemic for many truckers, and we've moved to resolve that. Truck drivers have kept supply chains going. They're important. But I just ask them, the small minority of truckers that are coming here to Toronto, and if they do, to be peaceful and respectful and follow the rules.
Minister, good morning.
Good morning, Jamie.
Randy Hillier has been increasing thinly veiled, inappropriate, threatening Twitter messages. Does that concern you? Like recently, last night, he posted jerry cans and mortar shells or artillery shells. He's threatened, he's called politicians terrorists. Are you concerned? And what can happen? Like, is this an environment that should be of a sitting MPP?
Look, this is not Canada when you hear an elected member say things like that. We've come so far, all of us together, to battle COVID-19. I mean, it's impacted Ontario, it's impacted every other place around the world, and we're moving to a much better place. We have businesses that have reopened. We need to give them that chance to succeed and to grow their businesses. That's why when we hear of the convoy that might be coming to Toronto, we ask that they be respectful, respect those small businesses that are, many are family owned. But again, we're better when we work together to overcome this. We've come so far, and we're doing much better than many other places in the world.
But the content and the messaging he's doing is to some disturbing. Do you find it disturbing? And is there any? Do we just continue absorbing this, or how is there anything that can happen to this MPP?
Well, look, it is disturbing. It's wrong. It's not Canadian. This is Canada. We work together, and this is a global pandemic that has changed the lives of every single person in this country. We have to work together to overcome this. We're moving in a much better direction now with things reopening and getting life back to normal. That has to be the goal, and we have to keep working together. I understand their frustrations with the Trudeau government and the federal government's mandate, but it's time to be respectful and be peaceful.
When the House sits again and all the politicians, a lot of the politicians, MPPs, come back here to debate, are you worried for safety?
No,
given what's happened, not only just on that one MPP's Twitter account, but in other realms.
No, I mean, I believe Queen's Park is a safe place, always has been. But again, we just have to keep working together, workers and businesses and government, and just get through this pandemic once and for all, and to get life back to normal for everyone. Great.
And we'll go to the phone lines now if we could have the first question, please.
Your first question comes from Charlie Pinkerton with iPolitics. Please go ahead.
Morning, Charlie.
Hi there, Minister. I'm just wondering about another recommendation that was actually in the Future of Work panel's list that also relates to gig workers. The announcement you're making today seems to cover recommendation 8, which was to appoint an expert to design and test a portable benefits program. But the other one, recommendation 15, was to recognize gig workers as dependent contractors, which would entitle them to things like termination pay, regular wages, and minimum wage as well. By not including this in your plans today for this future panel to provide recommendations on, is your government signaling that this recommendation, number 15, is not going to be looked into or moved forward with in any way?
No, I mean, we've moved forward quickly to ensure that we're working for workers. We're the first in Canada to bring forward a right to disconnect policy. We're the first in the country to ban non-compete clauses. We'll be the first in North America to expand health and dental benefits to millions of workers. So we're going to move forward. I committed when the report came out that we're going to move forward on expanding those benefits. But I can tell you, Charlie, there is more to come. I know people have been surprised what Premier Ford and our government did last fall. We're announcing, of course, today expanding those benefits to millions of more workers. But there is more to come when the legislature resumes on February 22nd.
So sorry, so just to be clear, do you mean that then we should expect that this recommendation number 15 from that same report, doing this, making these workers dependent contractors, is something that we would likely see before an election? And, you know, the wording you used about becoming the first jurisdiction to introduce the benefits that you are doing today, this panel isn't supposed to be appointed, according to the press release of this announcement, until spring 2022. So that doesn't give much time in the existence of this government in this form. But is your government going to introduce legislation to do what this panel will recommend before the election, or is this something that would have to happen afterwards? So it'd be great if you could address both those points.
Yeah, I can tell you when it comes to expanding benefits to millions of more workers in the province, that is what we're going to get done for those workers. The panel will be up and going in a matter of weeks. Obviously, this is a very complex a plan to put together. I mean, there's no blueprint anywhere in North America to do this. I'm proud that we're leading the way to be there for workers and to build stronger families. I mean, ultimately, that's what this is for. When you think only 25% of workers that work in part-time work or in precarious jobs have access to benefits, that's wrong. We're not going back to where we were before the pandemic hit. This is about building back a stronger province, a more fairer province for every worker and for every family. But there is more work to do. There's more action that's coming. Again, we passed the Working for Workers Act in the fall. And as I said, the legislature resumes February 22nd. And there's more changes to come to rebalance those scales to really put workers in the driver's seat.
Perfect. I think that's it.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.